Okay, so I'm Russ. This is Couch to 40K. What are we doing here? I'm here because after looking in the window at Warhammer 40,000 since probably mid to late 8th edition, I've decided to jump in. I'm building a combat patrol, 2 combat patrols. Numbers aren't important. At least 2 combat patrols. I'm going to try to find somebody to play with me. My wife will probably play a game with me. She's into this kind of stuff. She encouraged me to go for it, even after I warned her. Time and expense. We'll figure it out. Just nice thing about building a Warhammer. Yeah, it's like a lot to like buy the thing, but then it's like it's gonna take me a while to get through all these minis, so I can space out the purchases. Probably somebody not. I've got a friend who played an earlier edition who I can maybe rope. I could probably get to play a combat patrol game with me. I worry a little bit about like somebody who got off the plastic crack, like, here, have a free taste. But also then he would be somebody that I could play with on the regular. There is a possibility that like there's at least one place in my area, Metro Detroit, that does like an open play night. That terrifies me. That is not. I have a lot of anxiety when it comes to new things. Not like I need medication or something. Like I don't want to diminish people who have like real serious anxiety, but like I get really like the idea of going to a place that I've never been before and playing a game that I've played a couple of skirmish scale matches with family where I was the one who knew the more, right? In like sort of the control position, so I wasn't the one floundering, or if I was floundering, I was slightly less floundering. Like the idea of going and doing that is really terrifying. Well, terrifying is a strong word, but like makes me really uneasy. I'm talking about it a lot because I'm kind of trying to talk myself into it. This video is part of this video thing is talking myself into it. Because look, when I was thinking about playing, when I was talking myself out of playing since mid 8th edition, I was talking myself out of buying 9th edition. That box came out, which had Necrons and Space Marines. They all have Space Marines, right? And I like the look of the Necrons, right? I had recently gotten back into the hobby. I was painting. Mostly, I've been painting Warcry stuff because I run a D&D game for some friends, and the Warcry models will work for D&D. And I got it thinking like, oh well, it's a game. I got the first box just as they were selling out. It's so lucky. Like literally, I put in the order for the box and it was shipping, and then I started to see people saying, I can't get it anymore. I can't find it anywhere. It's sold out. And it's not available on the GW store. So I got lucky. I got that first box. It was like some terrain, a couple cool army, war bands, works well for D&D. And then I just sort of like kept building and painting. And one of my thinking was, it is a game that I could, small scale game that I could get somebody to play. And I was thinking like, it's a better choice than Warhammer because it's a small scale game that I can get somebody to play. Because when I got back into the hobby, I also stumbled onto battle reports, right? Which if you're watching this, you've probably watched a battle report, or two. I really like Winter's SEO, but there's like a bunch. Play on Tabletop is like a newer one. They do really good, and I like the at least slightly edited ones. There's like Tabletop Tactics and Tabletop this and Tabletop that, and Mini Wargaming, where it's like 3 hours. And I can't even like a little bit. I can't really usually get through a whole thing. So I've been watching battle reports, and I like played Rogue Trader when I was young, like 2 games. But I painted the Space Marines, and I painted the Eldar, and I even with Chaos Space Marines came out, and I remember White Dwarf. I bought some of those and painted them. I was painting the minis like even before the game came out, right? And then there was like the game that went with that, and I was like, so I kind of like, but I only got like 2, maybe 3 games back then. And then I fell out of the hobby, and so now here we are, and I'm painting stuff, and I'm watching Warhammer, and I like the aesthetic, and I like the world, the grimdark thing, right? Like I remember when I was young, and I like that book for the first time, and you know the way that the book smelled, and the world was, I mean, it's got a Judge Dredd kind of feel to it, right? Where it is bleak and dark and depressing, but also like kind of funny, because it's, you know, satire. And like everybody's bad and everything's terrible. It's a car crash into a leather shop, right? You can't look away. It's just a mess, but kind of intriguing. So when I started painting again, I watched some battle reports and felt that pull. I was like, nope. Warcry. There's a game. I can use the minis for more than just the game in case I never play the game, which, surprise, surprise, I hardly ever play the game. I've played like maybe 4, probably 3 games of Warcry. Started a couple more than that, like with my kids, and then they just like get bored and walk away. I'm bored, and then they leave, and then I could finish it, but I don't. I just put everything away and go on about my day. So when I was thinking about like getting into Warhammer, part of it was like I play D&D. I can't use Spacemans for D&D. Like I could, but I asked the guys that I played with at the time, the people that I played with at the time, would you like proxies with guns instead of bows? Would that be? And they're like, there was one person in particular who was like, well, that would really break the immersion for me. I don't think that would work. So whatever. I humored. They're not in my game anymore. But I Warcry, right? A bunch of war bands. I paint, and I like painting. I like building, and that's like the fun. And then they go into these cabinets behind me, and occasionally 2 or 3 will come out and hit the table for a fight in D&D. Honestly, my latest campaign has not been very fighty because we've been doing like other stuff. So they're getting even less table time. So as I was thinking about like talking myself out of the editions, one was like Spacemans don't work for anything but Spacemans. Not going to be able to get anybody to play with me. No. Just no. Lots of money, lots of time that I don't have a lot of either of. Just no. So it's good I didn't buy into 9th edition, and it turns out 9th edition was all of the things that were like, it's just too complicated, like all the rules. I couldn't get it. I didn't see myself being able to get a handle on it. So fast forward, 10th edition starts coming out, and I steel myself. I'm not. But these combat patrol things, and like people who have fallen off, I watch way too much YouTube, like a lot of us, and people who'd fallen off of 40K, Uncle Adam from Tabletop Minions, it's like, excited about combat patrols and buying combat patrols and painting them, and I'm watching some battle reports of combat patrols, and that looks fun. It's not the scale, but it's not huge piles of dice, but it's got a lot of the stuff that I like about 40K in it. The moving the parts around. I like the battle shock thing where you can diminish a unit's effectiveness dramatically by putting some hits on them, but it's not a matter of them like losing pieces, which I think just seems like it would feel bad to like have to roll a die and then your army gets smaller and smaller from that. But like battle shock seems like kind of a cool mechanic, and they'll like you put a guy in a unit and then that unit becomes more powerful, and like the list building seems a lot simpler but still has that sort of fiddliness, which I find appealing. Like the list building part has some appeal. So, and the games only last like an hour. And a lot of these minis that I've been painting for Warcry, they just sit on these shelves. So what's the difference if I paint a couple of boxes of battle patrols and I only get in 3 games? They see as much time on the table as like a lot of these guys do. More. This dragon's never been anywhere yet. Look out if you're in my group. So I decided to jump in. And as I was like thinking through this stuff, I thought like all these like questions and concerns, and how do I make this choice, and what do I do? And there's so much to think about and worry about, and it is a big expense, even if you're only going to play 3 games. If you're only going to do 2 combat patrol boxes, there's a lot that goes into it. It's a lot. So I thought like maybe I would record some of this stuff, my thoughts going through, and maybe it would be helpful to somebody else who's thinking about jumping in to 10th edition or 11th edition or whatever. So that's why we're here. Couch to 40K. If you're interested in following along, do the stuff, right? Please subscribe, like the video. If you're playing, put in. Let me know in the comments if you are jumping into this edition. If you played in other editions, like how did you get started? What got you started? Be interested in knowing where everybody's at. Okay, let's do this.